Hi, good morning, everyone. I see my connection is a bit slow. Okay, I think I'm back now. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, morning.
Yes, we can.
Morning, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, wonderful. I see most of us are here, so I am going to continue. I am also recording this session should anyone want to review it again. So just my camera on for a second to show you there's a real person behind the camera. So yes, welcome so much to this program. I'm welcoming you as the head of the Department of Financial Management, as well as the program coordinator for the MCOM program. You will see that you are not a very big group this year. We are a little bit over capacity on our master's students, so we had to limit the numbers for this year. So it is actually a great accomplishment for you to be in this program this year, as we had to show quite a few students away. So if you don't mind, I'm going to switch off my camera just to save some bandwidth, and then we can continue with the program for the day. I am going to try to finish by around 11 o'clock, because I know you are all busy and you have to get back to other activities. Okay, so please allow me just a moment to share my presentation. Okay, so this is the MCOM coursework in Financial Management Sciences, and I am going to take you through what the program entails, and then we are going to do a few activities to show you just exactly how the ClickUp environment operates and what is expected from you this year. So first of all, fantastic. Congratulations on being in this program. It is really not everyone that gets the opportunity to do a master's degree, and I trust that you will find this a very enriching experience. So just some contact information. You don't have to write this down, as I am going to share this presentation as a PDF. So I am the course coordinator. I am the person you contact if you have any problems with the modules, the materials, whatever might be the case. For any administrative issues, you can contact Mrs. Elmarie Skuman. She's our administrative assistant, and you may have, or you should have received communication from her already. And then if you need anything data related for your studies, you can contact Mr. Donnie Malan. He's our information specialist in the library. So just a little bit of a background. You've all done either a postgraduate diploma now or an honors degree. So what is the difference when you get to a master's degree? So according to the HEQSF, a coursework master's program requires a high level of theoretical engagement and quite a bit of intellectual independence. You will see in this program that it's very much learning by doing, very limited interaction from your lecturers. You will be, to a large extent, be left to your own devices. With our guidance, obviously, you can always email any of your lecturers at any time if you get stuck. We are here for you, but we are not really going to hold your hand every step of the way. And then in addition to your coursework, you are going to do a research project in the form of a mini dissertation. And I will tell you more about that as we progress. So master's degree graduates must be able to reflect critically on theory as well as its application. You must be able to critically appraise research. And in your first module, FNB 884, in the first month, we are going to do quite a bit of that, where I'm going to give you some research articles that you need to analyze to critically determine what the paper is saying. And you must be able to make sound judgments and then also communicate what you learn. So a lot of self-direction and originality in tackling and solving problems. The exit level outcomes, so the scope of knowledge requires from you to have the ability to engage with and critique current financial management sciences research practices, both in your coursework as well as in the research aspect. Problem solving, you must be able to identify, conceptualize, design, and implement methods to address problems within financial management sciences. Obviously, you need to do this in an ethical way. You need to produce and communicate information. So you will learn very quickly what is expected from a master's student in terms of academic writing. Especially if you did a postgraduate diploma and you did not really do research previously, we are going to help you develop the ability to communicate in academic language. Then management of learning, you will be have to manage your own time and your own learning experience. So we are here to guide the process, but again, you will be left to your own devices to a large extent to manage your time between the coursework and the research portions of the program. And then obviously you will have to be able to operate independently and take responsibility for your own work. So in terms of the course structure, as I've said, there's a coursework portion and a research portion. So the coursework, it's 3 modules. I say 12 months, but it's actually only 9 months. So you will do FNB 884, which is Strategic Management Accounting, followed by Strategic Risk Management, and then 886, which is Corporate Financial Management. So the coursework modules are each presented in a period of 3 months. So FNB 884 will start from the 1st of, or rather the 2nd of February, which is Monday, presented by myself. Then FNB 884 is presented by Prof. Zak Ensslin from May to July. And then 886 is presented by Prof. Rion Matemane from August to October. So by the end of October, you are finished with your coursework. But please be aware, students do fail the coursework, so you must work really hard. We have high standards and expectations from our students. And again, please engage with your lecturer if there's anything you are uncertain of and you wish to make sure you are doing correctly. Then the research component. So this stretches over a period of 18 months, more or less. So in this first year, you are going to do a research methodology. And then that research methodology you build out into a mini dissertation. Now, this is maybe the time when I should mention that this program can be completed in 1 year. So you do not have to do the mini dissertation next year, but this means that you need to finish your research methodology far earlier than the rest of the group. I will go through the study guide with you in a few minutes, and then I will show you the different programs for finishing the degree in 1 or 2 years. If you work full-time, I do not recommend that you try to do it in 1 year because it can be quite overwhelming and you might burn yourself out. For my academic trainees, I do encourage that you try to do it in 1 year, because when you start with your traineeship at your firm next year, your time might be quite limited. But you are most welcome to discuss your options with me today or over the next few weeks. Okay, so the research methodology is, if you do it over 2 years from February to October, but you can complete all the activities quicker if you have time available. And the final outcome of this module, FPS 884, is a research proposal. So it will take some time to get used to all the codes. Please be very aware that there's a difference between FNB 884 and FBS 884. So please be careful not to get confused between the two. For this, we will make topics available. So I will tell you more about that later today. And then you do the mini dissertation after your research proposal has been received, marked, and found to be acceptable by your supervisor. Okay, so just a few tips to help you succeed. You need to plan your time very carefully, because especially in this first year, you have to manage your time between the coursework and the research proposal. You cannot neglect one in favor of the other. So get your key deadlines for your modules, for the research proposal, and keep a careful diary or a timetable to make sure that you finish everything on time. And then you need to be creative on how you approach this. And look for blocks of time when you can work intensively, get up earlier, maybe use commuting time, lunch breaks, weekends, and whatever works for you. And then ask the people in your life for help and support. This is not, in the bigger scheme of things, a very long-term thing, but it is a process of development, you as a person, academically, and it is to your benefit. So please ask support from your family and friends when you need to say no to an activity perhaps, and rather focus on your studies. Okay, so for part-time students, those of you in full-time employment, pace yourself. I know that at the beginning of the year, we are very excited to get started, but overcommitting could impact your studies negatively. And if you are working, discuss with your employer regarding study time. Maybe some study leave options are available. Please be proactive. So it's a very much a self-directed mindset with independent learning. So you need to be proactive in how you approach this program. And then again, please ask questions and speak up. And especially if you are facing difficulties. Do not come to me in October after failing all your modules and tell me you've been in hospital for 6 months and you couldn't keep up with your studies. Tell me sooner rather than later so that we can put in place a plan of action. The sooner you communicate with me, the sooner I can help you. If you simply disappear on me, there's not much I can do to assist. Okay, so critical thinking is a skill that you are going to develop to a large extent in this program. So you need to determine from the information what is correct, what is maybe not appropriate, and read carefully and use critical thinking to get a range of perspective and determine the correct outcome of the topic you are investigating. Academic conventions. I am going to show you a presentation later about academic writing. This is very specific. It's not like writing an email or a letter to a friend. You need to express yourself in an academic way throughout this program. So you need to be aware of all the academic conventions. Okay, so I do want you to check in with each other. You will see that ClickUp has a messaging function. So please check in with your fellow students. In my module FNB 884, there is a group activity which you will do in pairs. So there will be some interaction. So try to learn from each other and interact with each other where possible. You can even consider a WhatsApp group if you want, just to make this a shared experience. Since you are all over South Africa, it can be difficult to get together physically, but you can still communicate online and support each other and learn from each other in this program. And then I always encourage study groups, looking at each other's work, criticizing it maybe to ensure that you deliver the best quality work. But this is all up to you and not a requirement for the course. Okay, so that is a very short introduction and welcoming, but just for us to get to know each other a little bit better, I'm going to call out your name. Please switch on your microphone and then tell me your preferred first name, where you are currently situated, why you decided to do a master's degree, specifically this one, and if you are currently working, and if so, where you are working. So I'm going from top to bottom. Bob, can I start with you?
Yes, my preferred first name is Bobby, or Bob, I don't really mind. I wanted to do the master's because once I'm done with my CA articles, I would like to, as quickly as possible, move into management rather than stay in auditing. And I think that this is a good step in the right direction. And currently I am working at the University of Pretoria, situated in Gauteng. In next year, I will be finishing my articles at KPMG.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bobby. And yes, you are right that this master's program will put you on the right trajectory if you want to go into a management position. Okay, next in line, Busisiwe.
I prefer to be called Busi. And I chose this master's degree because I am currently pursuing my CIMA qualification. So I think that'll be a great addition to that. And I currently am working for the SARS head office in Pretoria. And I'm also hoping to move up as well.
Okay, wonderful. Excellent. So yes, in terms of your CIMA qualification in FNB 884, your case study is based or it's adapted from a CIMA strategic management case study. So this will be a great opportunity for you to see what you are looking at when you do your CIMA qualification. Okay, next up is Kayla.
Hi, I prefer being called Kayla, as you said. I'm pursuing this master's because I enjoy studying and I like to build on the knowledge I've already got. And I currently work as a financial accountant for a bridging finance company, and I hope to build on my career within the company. I've been very privileged in my career so far, and I'm very happy with the company I work with. So I'm hoping this will help me in the future within my own company.
Okay, wonderful. I hope this brings some opportunities for promotion. Okay, next up is Lynn.
Hello, my preferred name is Lynn. I decided to do this degree because I think it has the ability to open doors and create certain opportunities. And I also like learning more and knowledge on certain topics. And I'm currently working as a trainee at the University of Pretoria.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Lynn. Let's see. Next up is Nkinsani.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kensani or Thelma. I prefer both, whatever you're comfortable with. I've studied a couple of degrees, but general degrees like the MBA. So I've decided to do this MCOM because I want a more specialized degree in the field of finance. I'm currently working in a financial institution, one of the big banks, and the plans for the future is basically to move and do my CIMA, and also the long-term plan is to move into professor academic journey, specializing in finance. So that's the reason I'm here today. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, you need to work very hard if you want to move into academia. A PhD must be part of your future plans. So for being allowed into a PhD program, you need to have a good mark for your master's. So good luck on that. Okay, let's see. Next up, okay. Next up is Sibusisiwe.
Hi, my preferred name is Vusi. Sorry to the other Vusi, but I'm currently situated in Johannesburg, and I decided to do the MCOM because I've got quite a lot of practical experience within the finance and banking industry, and now want to just cement it with the MCOM degree. I'm currently working full-time for a US-based nonprofit in the impact investment space and environmental science.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And next up is Sonia.
Good morning. I'm Sonia, and I'm doing the master's because I think financial management is a very interesting subject. And I'm currently working at the University of Pretoria for this year as an academic trainee.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Sonia. Next up is Simamkele.
Good morning, everyone. My preferred name is Sima. I'm currently situated in Pretoria. Why I decided to do the MCOM, it's because I want to grow more in the field of finance. And I enjoy the field and also enjoy studying more. I'm currently working at an organization, FPNM CETA, yes, as a monitoring and evaluation employee. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. I see Silondile joined us. So Silondile, as you can see on the screen, we are just introducing ourselves. So if you can please follow the questions on the screen and just tell us a little bit more about yourself, please.
Good morning, all. My name is Silondile Njangase. I am currently situated I'm in Pretoria, and I am working at SIU in the finance department. Why did you decide to do MCOM degree? I decided to further my studies so that I can equip myself more and expand my knowledge, and I am hoping to learn as much as I can so that with the knowledge that I will gain from this MCOM, I will be able to share it within my organization. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us, Silondile. Okay, next in my list is Mpendulo.
So it's just a meeting. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my preferred name is Mpendulo. Currently situated in Gauteng, Joburg. See, a lot of people are in Pretoria, so I'm Joburg. The reason why I decided to do this MCOM degree is I want to obviously improve the set of skills I currently have and just build on like the CIMA qualification and try to position myself for like a management position. Currently working as a financial accountant in a say trucking or financing of trucks industry for one of the big brands in that space. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you, Mpendulo. And then I am still learning my click, so I'm going to try my best. Xolile, you are last on the list.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My preferred name is Xolile, and I'm in Cape Town. And then I've decided to do this degree because I have an ambition to become a strategist management accountant, and I'm currently busy with my CIMA SES. And yeah, I'm working for the Social Security Agency as a budget office. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As on my, okay, let me see. Thank you, Kayla. So all the way from Durban. So we are really spread across South Africa. Just one thing that I want to ask, Simamkele and Xolile, I see that you are not on my list yet, that you are not registered. Are you planning to register soon? Because you won't have access to our online learning platform if you are not registered.
Yes, ma'am. For me, I've emailed my sponsorship letter to the external bursary department on Friday, so I was waiting for them to unblock. So yeah, I'm gonna call them after this session, so that I can register.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Simamkele.
Yes, I am planning to register, but I'm still sorting out the issues with the university in terms of that. Yeah, but I am
wonderful.
So that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, so first of all, I have a list next to me on everything I need to tell you today. So I want to encourage you, the two of you who still need to register whenever you are registered, but the rest of you to please take some time over the weekend to go through your ClickUp module. So at this stage, it will be FBS 884 and FNB 884, just to familiarize yourself with the environment and to see what is where. I will also give you a little bit of an introduction, sharing my screen. Yes, Bobby.
Ms. Elda, Prof. Elda, I just want to make sure the FBS 884 module, so that is almost like a prerequisite to starting with the mini dissertation.
That is correct, yes. So you need to complete it first to the satisfaction of your supervisor before you can continue with the mini dissertation.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, I feel very incompetent, but the supervisor, is that the person that is like topic that you choose for your master's? Is that person responsible for the topic, your supervisor?
Yes. So the topics a little bit later. I will make them available next week. You will choose a topic of your choice, that the topic comes with a supervisor, and that will be the person who helps you with the research proposal and then ultimately the mini dissertation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's start. Let me share my screen again to show you the share a window to show you what FBS 884 looks like. If you did the activities that Mrs. Kuman shared with you, you should have already looked at the orientation area. So there were some before orientation activities, a quiz, and then there's some things that we are going to do as activities today, or that I'm going to demonstrate to you so that you know how these work. So then next up is the welcome, the contacts, the ClickUp Ultra help site. It's very useful. If you struggle with ClickUp, go in there, type in what you are struggling with, and there should be some sort of video to show you what is needed. And then very important is the study guide. So please go through that in detail. At the University of Pretoria, we see your study guide as your contract with the module. So you need to know what is happening. So just a few things I would like to highlight. So firstly is the work program. If you do the program over 2 years, there's specific dates by which you need to complete specific activities. So there's 8 lectures, online lectures that you need to listen to and do the activities as well as a quiz. And while you are doing those, it takes you through the process of developing a research proposal. So you will feel very supported throughout the process, because we will tell you, the course material as well tells you step by step what you need to do. Then, so you see, for example, in this, by 11 May, you will have to submit the introduction to the research proposal. If you do it in 1 year, everything is squashed up a little bit. And you see that, for example, the introduction, you already need to submit by March. So depending on the route you choose, please make sure that you follow the correct work program and diarize all of the key dates and make sure that you complete the activities on time. Okay, then there's some administrative information, study materials. There is a prescribed book, Constructing a Good Dissertation. It's the only book that you are going to have to buy for this entire program. And then just some additional guidelines according to what's the expectations of the supervisors and what you can expect from your supervisor. How we communicate, very important. We communicate using your student email. So in the guidelines, it shows you how to set up your student email. So please check that regularly. And then just to show, very important for FBS 884 is that this is a non-credit bearing module. So as I've said to Bobby now, it is a prerequisite for doing the mini dissertation, but you will only get a code for it on your academic record. So it will only say comply with the requirements or do not comply with the requirements. It won't count a mark. But we do give you marks for this module simply for you to be able to see your progress. It's impossible to measure progress without some physical number of I'm getting 50% or I'm getting 30%. So that is why we do a mark allocation. But it is a non-credit bearing module. Okay, so there's quizzes and deliverables that you need to submit. Very important, I am going to show you our expectations regarding plagiarism, excuses and apologies for late submission, and yes, then support services at the university. So you can go through this study guide in more detail over the weekend. Okay, let's go back. So that is just welcome and helpful links. Then there's a lot of resources. So I've developed a set of course notes. So these course notes speak directly to the lectures that you are going to listen to. There's a template for your research proposal. So it's a Word document that you download, and that is what you are going to do, because we want all of your proposals to look the same. So please don't go off and try to be creative. Sometimes the academic environment might feel a bit restrictive, but ultimately we have a certain academic standard to hold up. Then some guidelines for AI usage that you can go through. There's a research assistance library guide, so you can go through that, the financial management library guide, and then the EndNote library guide. I will tell you a little bit more about EndNote later. Then there's EndNote training. I will share the date with you. It will probably be on a Friday morning, but it will also be recorded. I just got, it's a software that you use to help you in your research. APA 7th referencing. So that is the referencing format that we use for any citations and references. Language editors, I'm just sharing this so long. You do not have to have your research proposal edited, but your mini dissertation must be edited by a language editor. And please note that this is for your own cost, and we unfortunately cannot pay for that. Then a marking guideline as to how your dissertation will be assessed, just so that you are on par of what we expect, and then just the department's authorship policy. What sometimes happens is if you do a very good study, we may suggest that you publish a research article from that. And in terms of that, we have an authorship policy where your supervisor will be a co-author on that journal paper. But that is just additional information. This is only for after the mini dissertation. Okay, so this is all the information or the resources. Then just some guidelines on how to navigate this course. You can go through that. And then your lectures. So how the lectures work is I have a set of slides available. Then the lecture with a video on YouTube, then some activities you need to complete, and then a quiz. So you need to complete the quiz and get 50% for that at least before you will be allowed to go to the next lecture. So, and you can do the quiz more than one time. I'm not here to restrict you, but yes, that is the order in which you will do the lectures. And then, let me just scroll down. Right at the bottom, you will see Turnitin submissions, and I will demonstrate exactly how this works. So Turnitin is a software program, or it's an embedded program inside ClickUp, where you will submit all your assignments and your deliverables. It measures plagiarism and AI use so that we can monitor that you are doing your own work. So you will see that for every deliverable, there is an area with a deadline to submit, but there's also a document self-check area. So you can check your work regularly for plagiarism to make sure that you are on par. I will tell you more about our plagiarism requirements a little bit later. Okay, so yes, that is basically what I wanted to show you in terms of FPS 884. You can go through this again in your own time. Okay, so I'm going to show you a demo quickly on how we work using Turnitin and our submission process. Okay, so let me show you quickly how to find a research article. Okay, so you are going to use the library quite a bit. And let's see, I use Google Scholar very often. I will show you in a presentation that follows how to set up your Google Scholar to work most optimally. But let's see how to find a research article. So very important, this note that I've added here. Whenever I give you a reference or a research article in all of your work throughout this program, we are always going to give you the reference and not the PDF of the article. It's a copyright violation if I upload the PDF onto ClickUp. So unfortunately, you will always have to go and search for the article yourself. So I'm just going to copy this and put it into Google Scholar, and it will give me this research article. So here on the right-hand side, I can click to get the PDF document. Okay, so downloading the research article, let's just put it in my downloads folder. And then we can go back to what we are supposed to do with this. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick assignment. So if I give you a template, it will be a Word document that you can simply download and then open. Sorry, this is my home computer, so it's a little bit slow. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to add the details here. So it's my name, my surname. I'm not going to share the document with you directly, but what I am going to do is I'm going to copy the abstract because I want to show you what plagiarism is going to look like if you copy and paste. Can be tempting sometimes, and sometimes you copy and paste with the intention to rewrite it later and then you forget. So then it is very useful to see that you have a few areas where you need to work some more. Okay, so then I am going to write something, the key definition of strategic close. Okay, so let me show you what the submission area looks like. So for that, I'm just going to go to my student preview so that I work in an area that looks the same as it would look on your side. Okay, so orientation activities. Okay, so under orientation submission, a new page will open up. You launch it. And then you simply click on upload submission. You go and choose the file. Upload and review. And you submit to turn it in. Okay, so immediately on your side, you can review the similarity index. So you can open the document I will just have to reshare my screen quickly because it is now just showing that one. So let's say share again, a window, this one, share. Okay, so this is now what the assignment looks like. And here on the right-hand side, we see that there's a 83% plagiarism, and it is that abstract that I copied and pasted. So whenever something is highlighted like this in a document, it means it's been plagiarized, and it needs to be written in your own words. So you can see my words where I wrote a lot of nonsense does not show up as being highlighted, meaning that it is not plagiarism according to Turnitin. Okay, so this is where you can then, let me just share my original screen again. This is where you can see your the status of your document. So when you use the submission, the document self-check area, I won't look at that. So you can submit as many times as you want. I don't care how high the plagiarism percentage there is. It's your area, so you can submit over and over again. Okay, so this is what it would look like on your side. And then let me just exit my student view to show you what it's going to look like on my side. I have some additional information that I can see. So if I go to orientation submission, oh, I forgot to save it. That was now silly. Sorry about that, people. I will have to go out. I need to save my submission. Okay, so now you see it twice. Okay, so exit and I say save. Okay, so now you can see, I can also see your plagiarism percentage. Let me just share that screen. Sorry, it's a separate one again. Okay, so I can also click on this side and I can see the plagiarism percentage, but I can also see the AI percentage. So I can see whether you used AI to generate the content of your assignment. So please be very, very careful. I am a great proponent of using AI. I use it every day in my own work, but please use it to generate ideas, to help you answer questions. So if I give you an instruction and you're unsure about how to address it, ask ChatGPT what it thinks I mean with what I am asking. Or if you are reading something in a research article and you're unsure about what they are meaning, give the article to ChatGPT, ask it to explain to you what is going on, but please write in your own words. Do not simply generate text in AI and copy and paste into your assignment. We are going to monitor your AI percentages as well. And then while I am at it, I can also show you whenever I am going to mark your work, I'm going to do it in Turnitin. So if there is a rubric attached, I can mark using the rubric, and you can see how I marked using that. But I can also make some text comments. I can even make a voice comment, and I can also make comments in the document. So I will say good work and post it. And then when you open your document after I've released the marks, you can see these speech bubbles, and you can see the comments that I left for you. So especially in this first month, when you are doing your FNB 884 assignments, I am going to give you a lot of detailed feedback in this way, so you can see how to improve your work. What I also use, there's some preset. If I find that you all make the same mistake, I can just say incorrect referencing, and you will see the detail of that comment. You use the incorrect referencing technique. So when you open your document, you will see all of these bubbles and comments, and determine where you can improve on your next assignment. Any questions on downloading and uploading and Turnitin, AI, plagiarism, etc.?
Yes, Prof, I've got a question. So yesterday when I was going through the content, familiarize myself with the system, I read somewhere where it says when you utilize AI for any reason, yes, maybe you need to sort of reference it. So is there a specific way of referencing if maybe I used it to understand the context of
yes.
the article?
Yes, that's a good point. Let me just make sure, AI declaration, just making a note for myself. I am going to share in the announcements before you start with FNB 884. I'll share an AI and plagiarism declaration form that you can add to your document, where you explain to me how you used AI in your assignment. So then you can say you used it to summarize the article or to explain difficult concepts, etc. Okay, thank you for noting that. Any other questions before I continue? Okay, let me just quickly check the program. Oh, no, I've closed it. Let me see. The program for the day, so that I don't forget anything. Okay, our comfort break is scheduled for 10:30, so let's continue with the next presentation. Let's rather finish earlier than later. Okay, so the next presentation I want to share with you is the one on academic writing. And I will share the presentation again as a PDF document afterwards. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so on academic writing and referencing, this is now extremely important for all your assignments. If all your FNB assignments or modules, as well as for your research proposal and your mini dissertation, this is extremely important. Okay, so academic writing is the process of reading, analyzing, evaluating, and summarizing scholarly materials. So you are going to read a lot. Please be prepared for that. And that is why I've structured FNB 884 to give you exposure to research articles and how to read them effectively to get the most out of them. So it's more than just a search for information and goes beyond just being a descriptive bibliography. So all the work that you read must be evaluated and analyzed, and you need to discover relationships between what different people have written in academia. So the importance of a literature review and what you are going to do in many of your assignments is to build knowledge and identify research methodologies as well as the seminal works in your field. So especially with your research topic that you're going to choose, it will have a certain topic. So you will have to read in a certain area in the body of knowledge. And it will take some time for you to get used to finding the right material that speaks to the topic you are investigating. So all of the work that you read will help you focus and refine your research question by determining the knowledge gap and to provide intellectual context for your work. So very important, ensure you do not replicate existing knowledge or reproduce technical errors. So one thing that's very important is not to just trust blindly. Please be very conscientious when you read, and yes, read carefully. Sometimes research articles can contain mistakes, and that is an area where ChatGPT is, for example, very useful. To put an article in ChatGPT to say, but you disagree with this finding, and engaging with the material. So searching for research articles will also help you identify other researchers in your field so that you can explore more about what they did and determine the contribution that your research will make. And also learn how research findings are discussed and presented. So by reading research articles, you will see how to write academically as well. So you are going to become the expert in your field of study. So again, I have already mentioned it, I'm a little bit ahead of myself today, it seems. Please read everything with a fair measure of skepticism, because not everything in academic articles are true. As everything in life, nothing is necessarily perfect. Okay, so I've already shown you what plagiarism looks like in Turnitin. So please do not simply copy and paste from a research article into your template. In FNB 884, your first activity, I'm going to tell you more about that later, is to analyze research articles. But if I ask you, for example, what is the problem being investigated in the article, do not copy and paste the problem, write it in your own words. Never copy and paste, please. So at the University of Pretoria, you will see that at postgraduate level, we do not tolerate plagiarism at all. So I expect your plagiarism percentage to be lower than 20%. So anything below 20% is acceptable. And why this is because it happens that things come up as plagiarism, but simply because there's no other terminology for it. So if you write, for example, about agency theory, there's no other term to describe agency theory. You have to use the phrase agency theory. Now, because agency theory appears in research articles, it might come up as highlighted and looks like plagiarism. But it's not really plagiarism because it's a general term that cannot be used otherwise. So we do tolerate in inverted commas, plagiarism to some extent, simply because you cannot get away with that. But please write as far as possible in your own words. Do not copy and paste from research articles, and ensure your plagiarism percentage is lower than 20%. Artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, the university do not have a very strict policy yet on it, and you may have heard the news articles last year that UCT is not looking at AI use at all. So I encourage the use of AI, but no learning takes place if you do not read a little bit by yourself as well. So we will look at your AI percentage, and if it's very high, we will want to investigate further. And something that the reason why we take this or approach it very carefully is because tools such as Grammarly does appear a little bit like AI, because Grammarly helps you to improve the language of your work, and it rewrites sentences sometimes, and that might come up as looking like AI. But then I will encourage you to explain to me why your AI percentage is high. You can tell me, but I used Grammarly to improve the language, and that is the reason. So don't worry, we won't dismiss or dispel you immediately if you have a high AI percentage. We will investigate first. But remember that you are here to learn. You are here to develop as an academic. So you need to read and write your own work, please. And then also important to ensure that you do not commit plagiarism. It's important that you reference properly. So the best practice as you read research articles is to keep a list of all the sources that you use, and then you reference those that you actually use in your document. So please take note, there's a difference between a bibliography and a reference list. A bibliography is everything that you've read, but you won't always use everything in your material. The reference list is what you actually use in your research proposal or in your assignment to answer the questions. But using EndNote, it will help you to generate a reference list very easily. And I will tell you a little bit more about that. So this is just an example to say, okay, this is one I referenced, this is one I simply consulted, but I did not decide to use it. And again, one that I have referenced. So a few rules in terms of academic writing and referencing is please only use articles from peer-reviewed academic journals, from textbooks or books written by academic or authors for an academic audience. You can use articles from reputable professional journals or magazines. So for example, the Financial Mail or Business Day, or maybe you belong to a body such as CIMA who presents technical magazines. You might cite and reference those. You can use reports by government departments or parastatals, or non-governmental organizations like the UN, and at least ensure that it's a reputable organization. And then any subject-specific dictionaries, encyclopedias, as well as reference works by acknowledged subject specialists. And while I'm on this topic, I should also warn you that AI tend to hallucinate. So do not ask ChatGPT to identify research articles. I'm going to show you how to find the best research articles using the library, because I tend to hallucinate and make up references that do not really exist. So please do not use AI for that. So please never use anonymous or undated sources. Don't use Wikipedia or Investopedia or any of those, because they are written by the general public and are not necessarily accurate. Do not use articles in popular media. So please don't cite the Huisgenoot or the You magazine. That's not appropriate for academic writing. Please do not use sources that's not in the public domain. So if your company presents some or other internal memo, please don't use that if it's not on the public website where everyone can access it. And please do not use entries from blogs, wikis, and chat rooms, because that is, again, just people's own opinions. And this is a bit of a contentious one, newspaper articles. So newspaper articles are accepted only if you want to make a point. So please don't, I don't want to see more than one newspaper article reference in your work. But let's think of an example. Say you are looking at the inflation rate of South Africa as part of your research, and you read an interesting newspaper article about the way that inflation has increased over the past 10 years. That is acceptable just to make a point. But please don't cite newspaper articles throughout your document as academic sources. And then please do not forget to cite. So make it interesting for yourself. There's two ways to cite. So the first one is to include it as part of a sentence. So you can say, according to Smith, consumers prefer what. So always, if you are saying something that someone else said, you have to cite their work. So you can do it like this, to say, according to Smith, something happened, or you can add it to the end of a sentence. So to say, for example, South Africa has one of the highest per capita HIV prevalence and infection rates in the world. Then you say at the end, this comes from an article by Van Aert. You will see that I've included the page numbers here. Page numbers are only required when you use a direct quotation. So this will follow again. Please limit direct quotations to the bare minimum, because it seems as if you were too lazy to write it in your own words and then you just put it in inverted commas as is. Please rewrite as much as possible in your own words. However, if someone said something very profound, you can use a direct quotation, and in that case, you must provide the page number as well. So this is just an example. So these people argue that proper use of blah, 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 blah. And then in this example, sustainability reporting can be considered important in the mining. And you put the citation at the end. And this is then right at the end of your document, what the reference will look like. So this first one will then appear in detail, the name of the source, where it comes from, etc. And EndNote will help you a lot in accomplishing this. Okay, so if you use EndNote, this is not really as important. Using APA 7th is correct, whatever it throws at you, as long as you are consistent. So I say here that the ampersand is only for references in brackets, but you can use and, the written out word, as well. as long as you use it consistently throughout the document and don't use anything interchangeably. However, if it's in a sentence, please do not use an ampersand, use a written out word when you say according to a person and another person. As I've mentioned before, so I'm not going to repeat myself, limit direct quotations. But if you use one or two in your document, use the exact words that the person said, including any spelling or grammar errors. So that is important. And if it contains errors, you just put the word SIC in square brackets after the error so that the reader can see it's not you that made the mistake, but the original author. If you leave part of a direct quotation out, you just replace those words with an ellipsis. And you can also insert words in square brackets if you want something to make a little bit more sense. Okay, so a quotation, this becomes a little bit complicated. This is why I'm sharing this presentation with you afterwards so that you can refer to it again. So your quotation will be in double inverted commas. A quotation inside a quotation will be in single quotation marks. And then you may emphasize part of a quotation by bold or italics, but then you have to indicate that it's your own emphasis and not the original author's. And again, quotations should be carefully integrated with the rest of the text and should not be the norm in your academic writing. And then also, okay, so why this is important in terms of direct quotations and using quotation marks is so that Turnitin does not pick it up as plagiarism. If it is in inverted commas, Turnitin will know that it is copied from the source as is, and it will not show up as plagiarism. Also, for the purpose of Turnitin, your list at the end of the document is simply called references. It must not have a number, it must not be bibliography, it must not be list of references, only references. That way, Turnitin will stop immediately when it sees the word references, and it will not pick up all your references as being plagiarized, because your references will generally have been referenced by other people as well, and then appear in the public domain in other documents. So you don't want Turnitin to pick up your reference list as being plagiarized. Okay, so using EndNote, this is not a problem. Only the sources that you cite in your text may be in your reference list. Do not create separate lists of references for different types of publications between books and articles, etc. Everything in one list in alphabetical order. And do not number the list of references, only as is in alphabetical order. So just a few common mistakes. So apart from the fact that you should not use Investopedia, this one says not dated, so it's not an ideal source, and then Investopedia is not an appropriate source to use. For this one, this is a book, and it's, let me just quickly see here. Okay, so in APA 7th, you do not give the city or the location of the publisher anymore. You only provide the publishing company. So in this one, it will be only John Wiley and Sons. You don't have to insert New York anymore. Okay, so this is just a punctuation error. The question mark is the final punctuation mark of the sentence, and then the page numbers of this source is missing. So page numbers of an article is very important. Remember, the reader of your work must be able to go and find that work if they are interested in reading it. So you must make it as easy as possible, sorry, for people to find it again. Okay, so this one was, the matter with this one is that it does not have the publisher, and this one as well. We don't know, is it a journal article, is it a book? So you have to be very conscientious in ensuring that your references are complete. So just a little bit on EndNote. As I've mentioned at the beginning, I will present an EndNote lecture at one stage, sometime in February probably, so that you can use it as soon as possible. Just make a note here. Okay, so EndNote is a software program you can download onto your laptop or computer, and it is free for registered students. So on the library webpage, under referencing, you will find referencing software, and you will be able to download EndNote for Windows or Mac. It will give you the latest version of EndNote on the library website. And then this is what it looks like when you have uploaded a number of articles. So what is great about the platforms we use with the library is that you can download the article's details as an EndNote file. And then you just open it and it appears automatically in your EndNote library. So it's a great way to organize according to topics. So if you use different articles for different assignments, you can organize it in groups here, and then you can read all the articles in EndNote and import it directly into your document. So in Word, for example, you will then have an EndNote tab automatically when you install EndNote. You click on Insert Citation, you go and search the citation, click on it, and you can insert it either as is, so at the end of the sentence in brackets, or you can insert it as authors and the year in brackets if you make it part of the sentence. But I will demonstrate that in detail in the EndNote training. And that is a very quick overview of academic writing. Any questions at this stage?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
with regards to the Microsoft Access, so Microsoft Word, does the university give access to their students to those platforms?
Yes, so you will have access to Office 365 as a registered student.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, my question is, are we allowed to use Mendeley as a referencing tool?
Yes, you are allowed to use it. The only problem with Mendeley is that I'm not familiar with it. So if you experience technical problems, I won't be able to help you. And we also, our library has a dedicated EndNote specialist who can help you. So the university is organized towards EndNote, and we can provide support. If you use other referencing software, you're on your own, unfortunately. Okay, anything?
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay, According to the program, we are scheduled a comfort break now. Are you willing to push through to finish a little bit earlier, or would you like to go and grab a glass of water and take a break for a few minutes?
I'm okay to push through.
I think we can continue.
Let's push through.
Okay, excellent. Then we can do that. Let me just open. The next presentation is just to show you a little bit of what the library have available to support you in your journey. Share my screen. Because you, as undergraduate and often honest or postgraduate diploma students, you don't use the library too often, and some of you are not familiar with the University of Pretoria. So please bear with me. If you are familiar with all of this, this is for the benefit of students that did not study at UP or have not made use of the library too much yet. So first of all, Dani Malan is your go-to person at the library. If you find you struggle to get a research article or you struggle to find a book, he's the person to help you find what you need. Okay, so some general information. You will use the library mostly online from the library website, but you are most welcome to come to campus. Maybe over a weekend you want to come read some books, sit in the library and work. You are most welcome. So you need to register to use the library, and access control is through your student card. And the hours for the library is on the library website, so you can find it there, but the library is open basically all hours. And as master students, you can loan up to 15 books for 30 days. And you can renew books online. As long as no one has a hold on the book, you can keep it a little bit longer. You won't use books a lot, maybe for your research methods section, you might want to cite some books on the correct research method for the study that you are doing. There is some library training available. I will make one specific training available to you next week, which is on academic writing. So the training is on the 3rd of March. I believe it's online and in person, and it will teach you a little bit more about how to write for an academic audience. Then there's some postgraduate study facilities on level 2. So if you're not familiar with the library, when you walk into the library, you're on level 3. And then there's 2 levels below. So one level down is where there's postgraduate study facilities for economic and management sciences students. And then there's other services like printing and so forth. So this is just a picture of the study center on the level 2 if you want to go and sit and work there in a quiet place. And then to search for books. So most of this presentation will be on using the library website. Searching for books, you click on the books tab, you type in the name of the book or the topic that you are looking for, and then it will show you all the books, in this case on financial management, that is available in the library. And you can see there where it is available. If it is, sorry about that, if it is not available at the Merensky or the main campus, you can request it to be sent there. So you can request a loan from another library. Okay, so there you can check the availability and you can check for more editions and formats. Please try to use the latest version of a book if you should use a book. You can also do an advanced search. where you can add some more keywords. So internal auditing South Africa to give you a book that is most applicable to your study. And then there's some books that you can access online as well. Then you get an online access to the book for a limited period of time, similar to lending or borrowing a physical book. But most often you are going to use Google Scholar and some other platforms. You will very rarely need a book, as you will use mostly journal articles, so academic journal articles. So my go-to, or my first go-to, is always Google Scholar. And then it's important to put your settings correct on your laptop or computer so that you get access to the most resources available. So to do that, you click on Google Scholar settings. Then you click on this link just above the little picture. You type in University of Pretoria, click on search, and you make sure that you click on all of the little blocks that's available and you click on save. So this means now that you have access to all the platforms that the university prescribes to. So remember that these sources are not for free. The university pays a lot of money for subscriptions to research journals. So please make use of it as far as possible. You will find that there's a lot of material available. You do not have to buy anything. So when you've made these changes, you will see that you have access to PDF documents. Very important, when you reference and cite a research article, I assume that you at least downloaded the article and you read part of it. So please download the research articles that you cite. Don't just go on this little bit of text that you see here. At least download the article and read the most pertinent parts. You can also refine your Google search. It is important that you use the most recent research that is available. So if you are not anything older than 10 years, for example. So if you, it's not that we are not allowing it at all, but we want you to cite what is most relevant to the situation we are in at the moment. But if, say, for example, to go back to my example of agency theory, if you cite agency theory in your work, obviously the people who coined that term and to develop agency theory, they did it, I think, in 1973 or something. So you're more than welcome to cite those people because they were the fathers of the term. But if you talk about, for example, the state of capital structure in South Africa, it would be best to look at articles from 2010 to 2026. You can also access articles through e-journals. So you can click on the journals tab and e-journals and then type in the journal you are looking for to see whether the university prescribes to that journal specifically. And then you can type in the title and, for example, the Journal of Accounting Research, you can then access through the library website. You can also access databases. So under search, you go to databases and then you can search for the databases for letter in the alphabet. And these are the ones, okay, so again, I will make this presentation available. These are the ones we use most in financial management sciences. Over and above Google Scholar, I do like using ProQuest. One that's not listed here, which I should, is Scopus. Scopus also have good research articles available. So yes, under databases, you can find additional materials that you may not find under Google Scholar directly. So for example, ProQuest, I select all the databases. Then very important, you want to ask for the full text, because otherwise it might be an article where you only have the abstract, and you cannot really make a good assessment of what an article says only from the abstract. You want the entire article. And then you can download the PDF full text. You can refine the dates if you want only from the past 12 months, last 5 years, last 10 years, to find, in this case, articles on integrated reporting. Okay, do not mark peer-reviewed in this case. Okay, so journal articles are all peer-reviewed, but what this means, if you click on peer-reviewed, it will disregard any dissertations and theses. And you can get some good previous dissertations and theses that has been written on topics. So you want access to those as well. So under ProQuest, you can get some dissertations and theses as well. You can also go to UP Space, which is the UP area where we publish all the works that has been published in the University of Pretoria. So every master's dissertation, any PhD thesis can be found there if it has been published by the University of Pretoria. Sabinet is the platform for South African publications. We do not have that many journals in South Africa, but you might find one or two that is that you think is a good article. Then you can find it through Sabinet. And you find Sabinet also under databases. And then if you want access to theses and dissertations from other universities, you can also find it on Sabinet. Okay, so you just type in again, integrated reporting, and it will give you what is available. Now, very important, sometimes you get across an article that asks you that you need to buy it for often US dollars. Please, please, please don't do that. It's not necessary for you to purchase any research articles. In the first instance, you have access to more than enough articles without paying for any articles. And then if it is a resource that you really, really, really want to cite, please ask Mr. Dane Malan at the library first, if he is able to access it for you without paying. He has access to some other databases that we do not, and he might be able to obtain it for you without you paying for it. So please don't pay for any research. Okay, so just additional services on using the library. Here you can find, this is on the library main page. The library hours, regulations, membership, what you need for that, how to borrow books, interlibrary loans if it's necessary, and then any help you might need. There's quite a lot of subject guides in the library, and academic writing one amongst others, which I will share with you specifically. So the library is a really helpful source to get the necessary materials that you need. Okay, so just the departmental LibGuide gives you Mr. Dane Malan's information. It gives you information about valuable books, articles, web links, thesis and dissertations. So the link to this LibGuide is on your ClickUp page. Then there's a research LibGuide. So here you will find a lot of information, and it is updated regularly. So there's writing support, there's things on plagiarism, on data collection techniques, on writing the literature review. So anything over and above you need on over and above what I teach you in the lectures, you can find on the library webpage. And this LibGuide is also linked to your ClickUp page. So yes, this is Mr. Malan's site, Keep Calm and Ask a Librarian. They are there to help you through the process. Okay, so this was very quick on research articles. When I do the EndNote training, I will let me make a note, show you more a little bit about how to get articles and how to get the citations into your EndNote library. Someone's hand was up for a second and now it's gone. Is there a question?
There is a question in the chat, ma'am.
Ah, thank you very much. I missed it. Sonia, you are most welcome to do it yourself as well as a practice round, just to see that you understand the process. So it's not necessary if you have done it before and you're comfortable and familiar with the Turnitin process, you don't have to redo it. But if you just want as a practice round over the weekend, you can submit something there to see what it looks like. Thank you. Okay, any other questions about the library? Are you comfortable that you will be able to find the materials that you need?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, the next thing I want to just quickly deal with is how the topic selection will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the topics from last year. Let me see quickly. Okay, let me open up the correct ClickUp page. Okay, so FPS 884. We try to make it as fair as possible. So we try to give you an option, but we have to do it on a first come, first serve basis, unfortunately. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos. So let me just show you very quickly. I will post this in a separate announcement next week. So you don't have to write this down or make too much of it at this stage. I just want to share with you what it will look like. So I've asked my colleagues who's going to supervise 4 topics. So this is what I will make available to you. It's the supervisor as well as the topic. So you can go and read through them in your own time, and then let me make a notes quickly, and then decide which ones look nice. So please choose a few, because it can happen that you don't get your first choice. So what I've done last year, let me just re-share my screen. And I'm going to use the same principle this year, is that I made the topics available as groups in ClickUp. So if you're in your FPS 884 ClickUp, you will see that there is a tab for groups. Last year we were a lot of students, so this year there will probably only be one group. So let me do a student preview so that you can see what it will look like on your side. Okay, so if we go to groups, there's topic 17. So the topics will have numbers, so you will be able to see the numbers, and then the topics will be made available like this. And you will be able to enroll for a topic. So please, now, last year there was some confusion. I ask you to identify up to 3 topics in case the one you want is not available. But please do not enroll for all 3. Enroll for your first choice. If your first choice is not there, enroll for your second choice. If your second choice is not there, enroll for your third choice. But please only enroll for 1 topic. So that is the most fair way that I can think of to make sure that everyone gets a topic they like. But please do not be too discouraged if you get a topic that that was not your first choice. I promise you, as you start reading, when you start to interact with your supervisor, you will feed from their enthusiasm, because these topics are aligned with their research focus areas and what they are interested in. So I'm sure you will enjoy your research project regardless the topic you get. But I will make an announcement with the topic so that you can see what is available, and then I will tell you exactly when enrollment for the topics will be made available. It will be 9 o'clock on a certain date. You go in and you go and select your topic as soon as you want. Everyone clear on how topic selection will work?
Yes, all clear.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and then my students who are not registered yet, please, please, please do so as soon as possible, because if you are not registered, you will be last in line to get a topic, and you will have to pick what is left over. Okay. So training date for EndNote, just going down my list. Then we are almost at an end. What I want to show you quickly is your first module that you are going to do, which is FNB 884. Just to quickly show you what the environment looks like and what the first assignment is that you are going to do. Okay, so again, welcome and helpful hints. With your study guide, please make sure. So what you are going to do is you are going to do article reviews in February. Then for the entire month of March, you are going to work on a case study. And then for the entire month of April, you are going to work on an essay. So that is why I said at the beginning of this discussion or this presentation that you will very much be left to your own devices. If you have questions, it will be up to you to reach out to me or your fellow students. You will have to manage your time. I'm not going to check up on you in the middle of April and ask you, are you working on your essay? I will trust that you are managing your time and doing what needs to be done. So over the weekend, please go through this ClickUp page and also read the study guide. Then I'm going to open it now and make it visible to students so that you can see. So first of all, articles to be reviewed. And the deadlines is in the study guide. I will quickly show you that. So for the month of February, you are going to do 3 article reviews. You will have 2 weeks for the one, then a week for the other one, and a week for the other one. So it's not very intense. You will have a guiding template, which I can quickly show you. of what exactly I want. So I want you to provide a complete reference for the article. Then when you've read the article, you need to tell me what is the problem statement in your own words. What is the main research question? How it is contextualized in prior knowledge. So you need to give me a summary of the literature, etc. So you will go use this template to do an article review. There is some guiding template that you can work through, and then there's 3 submission areas where you will submit. So the first one is due on the 9th of February, then on the 16th of February, and then on the 23rd of February. So I think I lied. You have a week for the first one. So you will have to jump and start on that ASAP. But that is your first activity for this. As you progress, I will make the case study and the essay available later. And again, you have a Turnitin testing area if you want to check your work before you submit for any possible plagiarism. Okay, any questions on what is expected from you in FNB 884? Okay, and then finally, you are going to do some discussions. So here at the top is discussions. What will happen is I will take a topic that is in the news, for example, at the moment, related to strategic management accounting, and I'm going to ask your opinion on that. So you don't have to write pages and pages. Just respond to the discussion, give your opinion. You can respond to the opinion of another student. Just don't get personal, don't get nasty, but yes, just an informal discussion, which is also going to count some marks. So just in terms of the study guide, what I want to highlight here is how your deadlines and how it will be marked. So in the study guide, you have your deadlines for Article 1, 2, and 3, the deadline for the case study and the essay, and then your mark allocation. The articles will be 10% each. The case study will be 35% of your total mark. The essay will be 30%, and the discussion forums will be 5%. So it's a handy tool to get some extra marks by participating in the discussion forums. And that is all I wanted to say about FNB 884 at this stage. Any questions from your side? You are a very quiet group. I hope it means that I was clear in my discussions, but I want to thank you for attending and for your participation in this very busy 2 hours with a lot of information. I will make the presentations and this recording available now after we've closed off. And then once again, you have my contact details. If you have any questions, please get in touch. I will communicate fairly regularly using the announcements tab in your ClickUp environments. I will also always set it so that it sends an email to your student account. So you don't have to go into ClickUp necessarily, but you will also get the announcements as emails. So yes, if there's no further questions, again, thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for joining us in the Masters program. I hope this will be a very enriching experience for you. And I look forward to the year or two that lies ahead to engage with you some more. If there's no further questions, I then close this session, and good luck with your studies.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would it be okay